Hello, this is the old man speaking, and I'm calling from March the 20th. And this is the title of the old man episode or memory is Nell and the Pig Fence. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is I have such a warm memory of my dear elder aunt, Nell, that I called Nui when I was really young. But by the time I was 8 years old, Nell, being the oldest in the family, felt that it might be good if she took me out onto the farm to do a few chores that I could learn from. And one of those was testing and maintaining our tight pig fence. Now, any of you who are pig farmers know that keeping a pig inside a fence was not easy. And we used strong wire field fence, as it was called. And we had posts every 8 feet or so set in the ground already, and the fence was already there. And the nails that held the fence to the post were staple-like, steeple as my aunt called them, staple shaped nails with two ends that the top looped over the field fence wire and held it to the post. Now, my job was to carry the precious crock of nails and staples. My aunt, in her own small stature, carried the hammer. She was about 4 feet 11, I guess, 90 pounds at most. Slim woman in every way except her brain. She was one smart lady. So anyway, she would say, it's time to test the pig fence. And I would run to the basement, the cellar, as it was really called, because it was a dirt hole in the ground under our family house. Run down there, grab the crock or the tub of staples and nails, and come running, because she would walk with me around on the farmland testing the field fence that was to hold the pigs inside. Important if you raise pigs. Okay, so Nell and I would take this trip, and with every post she would stop and grab the post and shake the dickens out of it. She would shake so hard her feet would come up off the ground. She was a small woman. But it gave those tests pretty darn thorough shaking. And if any amount of fencing was loose to any degree, she would call for the staple from me, and I'd hand it over, selected from the tub, and she would hold it in place and bash it with a hammer. And she was pretty good, because that type of wood that most of the posts were made of was very springy and fibrous, and it would bounce a nail right out. But not when she hit it. She would drive in 2, 3, 4 wax strikes onto it, and it would be thoroughly embedded in the post. Well, she would take hold of the fence once again and shake it to be sure our staple had been planted thoroughly. And if it passed muster, we'd go on to the next post. And all the way around the pig fence we went, checking at the bottom if it were possible to root under. We usually folded the wire over a bit to avoid that. And then, of course, testing the strength of the attachment to each post. And what I learned from Nell, and she gave me one sample to practice with, was to do the job right. She was a very demanding person in her own way, and she believed in carrying through with the farm duties that joined the whole family's many jobs. Her job was to take care of the farm. And my father, of course, he was a town boy and worked at a furniture plant in a little town. So he was never home for the daytime repairs, during the week especially. Well, my aunt taught me do the job right, regardless of the cost and the effort. Sometimes she would nail in there so hard the staple would spring back out with the difficult wood. One time she got to a soft wood post and she handed the apparatus over to me, and I drove in a staple. And I hit it very hard. It did not bounce out. And I felt my accomplishment very strongly. So that was my trip out into the farm family layout, the 100 acres, testing pig fence, and of course learning from Aunt Nell. By the way, those posts were made from locust trees. It produces very bad wood for any treatment, any building, anything. They're very fine leaves. They make good shade, but boy, they made springy posts.